Everyone wants to leave. Everyone dreams of a better life somewhere else. But what if I told you that life abroad isn't what you think it is? What if I told you there's a side no one posts online? The part hidden behind the smiling photos, the airport selfies, and the "finally made it" captions. The truth is, life abroad can change you in ways that will shock a lot of people. Now, don't get me wrong, this isn't a video to scare you. It's to prepare you. Because before you buy that ticket or send that visa application, there are things you deserve to know. The reality behind the dream is deeper, harder, and more personal than most people admit. I've seen people move abroad chasing opportunity, and I've seen what happens next. The excitement fades, and reality sets in. The struggle to survive, the loneliness that creeps in, the unspoken pressure to look successful even when you're not. These are the parts of migration that no influencer will ever post about. And that's why you're here. Because you're curious, and you want to know the truth before it finds you. Over the next few minutes, we're breaking down the 5 harsh realities of life abroad that almost every migrant faces, no matter where they come from or where they go. This is the side of migration that rarely makes it to YouTube. The raw, unfiltered truth. By the end of this video, you'll understand what it really means to start over in a new country, the cost, the emotional toll, and the lessons no one talks about. So, before you pack that suitcase or chase that dream city you've seen online, listen closely. Because what you're about to hear might just change how you see life abroad. 5. The expectation trap. We all start with the same dream. Clean streets. Better jobs. A life where things finally make sense. The kind of life we scroll past on Instagram and think, that could be me. But here's the harsh truth. Every dream abroad comes with fine print. The first year in a new country isn't about success. It's about survival. Forget the glossy social media posts, the reality hits hard. You're starting from zero again. You might have a degree, experience, maybe even a solid plan, but none of that guarantees stability abroad. According to the OECD's 2024 migration data, more than 60% of migrants end up working in jobs below their qualification during their first year. Imagine being an engineer cleaning offices at night or a teacher stacking shelves at a supermarket. It's humbling. It's frustrating. And it's the part of migration that nobody brags about. The truth is, most people don't move abroad to become rich. They move to escape stagnation. But when you arrive, you realize the system doesn't care who you were back home. You start from the bottom. And that's where the mental challenge begins. You might arrive as a dreamer, but you'll work like a beginner. You'll face cultural adjustments, language barriers, and a constant reminder that you're the outsider trying to prove you belong. That pressure can be exhausting, but it also shapes you. It tests your patience, your pride, and your purpose. And just when you think you've adjusted, when you finally land that first real job, something else hits. Because survival abroad isn't just emotional. It's financial. For the financial reality, people often believe moving abroad means instant wealth. Reality check. It doesn't. The cost of living can hit harder than homesickness. Rent, transportation, insurance, taxes, groceries, every bill chips away at your income until you start asking yourself, where did all my money go? Let's be real. You might earn $3,000 a month, but by the 20th day, you're left with $150. Not because you're careless, but because the system is expensive. And it doesn't pause for your dreams. Hidden fees, healthcare costs, mandatory insurance, phone bills, all of it adds up fast. Even sending money home becomes a luxury. That's when you realize that success abroad isn't just about hard work, it's about managing survival under pressure. Success costs more than you think, not just in money, but in energy, sacrifice, and time. And when you finally manage to stay afloat, when the financial struggle starts to make sense, you'll discover that money isn't the hardest part of living abroad. What really breaks people comes next. 3. The loneliness factor. No one warns you about the silence. The kind that follows you home after a long day. The kind that makes you question everything. In the beginning, the excitement of a new country keeps you distracted. You're busy exploring, learning, adjusting. But slowly, the noise fades. Friends from back home get caught up in their lives. Calls become shorter. Messages go unanswered. Time zones make it harder to stay connected. You start to realize that while you moved forward, your old world kept moving too, without you. Isolation becomes your new companion. You go from hearing familiar languages to not hearing your name spoken for days. You begin to crave small things. Laughter in your mother tongue, the smell of your favorite food, the comfort of not having to explain yourself. According to a 2024 World Health Organization study, 1 in 3 migrants experiences depression or severe loneliness within their first 2 years abroad. It's not just distance that hurts. It's the feeling of invisibility. You exist, but no one really knows you anymore, not back home, and not where you are now. That's when you start to change. You build routines to fill the silence, long walks, endless scrolling, late-night YouTube rabbit holes. You tell yourself you're fine, but deep down, something feels missing. The homesickness isn't just for a place. It's for a version of yourself that felt seen. And when loneliness kicks in, something deeper begins to fade, your sense of self. 2. The identity shift. You start noticing it in small ways. The way your accent softens when you speak to locals. The way you choose words carefully so you won't stand out. You start saying, "we," when you talk about your new country, but you're not sure if you really belong. At first, it feels like adaptation. But over time, it becomes something else, a slow rewriting of who you are. Your identity begins to split between 2 worlds. One that raised you, and one that's reshaping you. You adapt to survive, but sometimes, survival comes at the cost of self-recognition. You laugh differently. You dress differently. You think differently. You start wondering if the person you were before would even recognize you now. I've seen it happen to everyone: engineers, nurses, students, even business owners. They arrive confident, full of dreams, but months later they're fighting invisible wars within themselves. The conflict between blending in and holding on. Between who they were and who they're becoming. And that confusion takes a toll. It drains your energy. You wake up every day switching identities, one for home, one for work, one for survival. Until one day, you look in the mirror and realize you've changed more than you ever expected. But even if you survive all that, one more truth hits harder than the rest. 1. The guilt of success. You finally make it. You get the job, the car, the apartment. You've survived the language barrier, the culture shock, and the endless nights of doubt. People back home start calling you the lucky one. They look at your photos and think you're living the dream. But deep down, something feels wrong. No one talks about the guilt that comes with success abroad. The guilt of leaving family behind. The guilt of not being there when your parents age, or when your siblings go through hard times. The guilt of missing birthdays, funerals, and milestones you can't get back. You're chasing a better life, but it feels like you're paying for it with pieces of yourself. Every call from home reminds you of what you've lost. When are you visiting? When are you sending money? You're so lucky. We wish we had your life. And you smile, but inside, it hurts. Because they only see the highlight reel. They don't see the exhaustion, the loneliness, the constant pressure to live up to an image. The truth is, success abroad is heavy. It's not just about working hard, it's about holding everything together. You send money home even when you're struggling because you don't want them to worry. You post positive updates online because you don't want to disappoint anyone. You become the symbol of hope, even when you're barely standing. And then, one day, you visit home. But something's changed. The streets feel smaller. The conversations feel distant. You've grown, but so has the gap between you and the place that raised you. You're not fully from there anymore, but you'll never be fully from here either. Home doesn't feel like home, and abroad doesn't feel like belonging. That's the paradox no one warns you about. You built a new life, but it cost you the old one. The truth is, migration doesn't just change where you live. It changes how you feel, how you connect, and how you define happiness. You gain freedom, but lose familiarity. You gain opportunity, but lose simplicity. You gain the world, but sometimes, it still doesn't feel enough. That's the silent weight of being an immigrant, the constant tug between gratitude and guilt. You're proud of what you've built, but part of you still aches for what you left behind. And no matter how far you go, that feeling never really disappears. The truth here's the real truth about migration. It's not heaven, and it's not hell. It's a reset. When you move abroad, you're not escaping your problems, you're trading them for new ones. The people who thrive overseas aren't the richest or the most talented. They're the ones who came prepared. They understood that moving abroad isn't just about packing your bags. It's about preparing your mind, your money, and your expectations. If you're planning to move abroad, remember this. The first rule is to build a financial cushion. Save at least 6 months of living expenses before you go. The cost of settling down is always higher than you think. Rent deposits, legal paperwork, transport, healthcare, it all adds up fast. A safety net buys you time to adjust without breaking down. Second, do your homework. Research everything: visa laws, job markets, living standards, tax systems, and cultural norms. Don't rely on stories from friends or social media. Every country has its own rules, and ignorance is expensive. Third, prepare yourself mentally for starting from zero. It's not a downgrade, it's a restart. You'll rebuild your network, your confidence, and your sense of belonging. The quicker you accept that, the stronger you'll grow. And most importantly, don't compare your journey to anyone else's. The internet shows you success stories, but it hides the struggles behind them. Your pace doesn't define your worth. Progress abroad looks different for everyone. Here's what most people never understand: living abroad won't fix your life. It reveals who you are. It magnifies your strengths and exposes your weaknesses. It forces you to rebuild, not just your career or your finances, but your mindset, your resilience, and your sense of identity. Migration isn't a fairy tale. It's a test. And if you're ready to face it with open eyes, it can transform you completely. Not because the country changes you, but because you finally learn what it takes to stand on your own in a world that owes you nothing. If you're already living abroad, tell me, what's been your hardest lesson so far? The one that changed how you see everything. Drop it in the comments, and let's tell the truth together. Because your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear before they take that step. Life abroad isn't easy, but it's real. It teaches you resilience, discipline, and humility. It forces you to grow in ways comfort never could. But it also reminds you that every dream has a cost. Remember this: dreams are real, and so are sacrifices. You can build a better life, but it takes more than hope. It takes planning, courage, and patience. If this video opened your eyes or made you think twice, share it with someone planning to move abroad. They deserve to know the truth too. And if you want to go deeper, watch my next video, The Hidden Cost of Chasing the American Dream. It exposes the emotional and financial realities most people never talk about. Thank you for watching. Stay strong, stay prepared, and remember, your dream is still valid, as long as you understand what it takes to make it real.